Hi, Marta. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me about AOL's leadership position in video, specifically how you guys are accelerating that in the last year or two.
So when we think about video at AOL, we're not thinking about one part of the industry or the other. We're trying to think holistically about the entire value chain. So we start with how do we create creation and how do you create content that is meaningful for the web and for the consumers that are acting across device in a cross-device environment. So we have made a huge investment in original programming, thinking about it from a very unique and web-centric perspective. Our philosophy in original programming with all of our partners is how do we bring to life remarkable stories and very authentic voices, because we think the internet runs to that philosophy. And then we take content creation into curation with all of the work we do with our over 500 premium publishing partners, for whom we create a content library and distribution mechanism. And once you curate, you program, and you program differently for each one of the different devices, each one of the different moments of life, depending on whether you are a specific audience in a connected TV or in a mobile device or in a desktop. And once you have done the programming, you go, of course, into the distribution and monetization for advertisers. So what we do is we think holistically about all of the different steps so that we can bring value to all of the different players in the ecosystem, because we firmly believe that it's content creators and advertisers and the partnership that comes from those two that will help this ecosystem flourish and flourish faster.
Got it. So I look at it and I say, all right, you've got this robust platform of content. You've got the ability to distribute it. You've got the ability to monetize it.
Yeah.
You've got consumers you need to attract in. You've got talent you need to attract in. And then you have marketers you need to work with. So where do you start in this sea of information and customers that you have? Where are you starting? Where's the point you go, okay, we're going to start here, whether it's the content or the audience? Where do you begin?
So we've been talking a lot about culture and code at AOL, and how culture and code come together, and how we unleash creators to leverage both culture and code. And I'm saying that because we start with consumers, and what are the cultural movements? What are the topics and the areas that consumers are interested about, that they care about? And we drill down into them, and we start creating content and collecting and programming content around those cultural movements. Take it makers, for example. We created the largest library of videos of women that made America, women that changed the world, right? And it was tapping into all of this women movement that has taken life of its own in the last 2 years, right? The same with the Huffington Post and the Huffington Post Live, right? Give the ability to consumers to participate in programming. So in Huffington Post Live, we do live video programming, and anybody who's watching the show can participate into the program through Google Hangouts, right? So bring the consumers into the conversation. So the beginning is always in, let's capture a moment, let's capture a cultural movement, and then let's allow brands, let's allow creators to connect with that specific topic and give it scale.
Right, and now you're doing this across all screens, right?
We're doing that across all screens. So we've put a lot of energy into very early connecting with every single device out there. So we are present in 16 different devices, all of the mobile ones, but Roku, Apple TV, most recently Android TV, and we're doing a lot early days. So if we always say it's day 1 for online video advertising, it's day 0.5 for the OTT environment. And there's still a lot of work to be done in that area when it comes to standards. It's interesting how now you can watch the same show in 5 different ways. So the number of decisions you have to make before you're going to watch a video, or you're sitting in the sofa, it's almost a little bit overwhelming. Although not to my 3-year-old boy, but so I think that there is a lot. Very early days, we want to be there very early so that we can help shape those standards, so that we can help into what are the right discovery mechanisms for consumers, so that the on-demand television becomes an everyday habit for consumers.
Right. So I would say that years ago, probably desktop was very important for you guys years and years ago. That has been replaced with, I assume, mobile?
That's been replaced with mobile. We now have half of our traffic right now comes from mobile. And that's happened in the last 2 years, which is absolutely fascinating, right? And imagine what that does to the way in which you program, the way in which you tell the news if you're having to post, the frequency, and and how you time that during the day. So that has been a really fast transformation that when we continue to write.
Right. Is that happening through apps specifically, or is it just through the browser on mobile?
It is both, but you think about it, 4 out of every 5 times that a user interacts with a mobile device is with an app and not through the mobile web. So clearly it is the apps world. It is a world where apps and notifications and the way in which you interact with that device is what is driving a lot more of the usage. And we like to look at that in a very similar way in which we look at the OTT. The connected TV environment looks very similar today than to the television, to your smartphone screen.
Right.
So we think that the app world, we're at the beginning of the app world, but there's a huge change happening from a desktop search-driven world to an app and messaging-driven world.
Right. So we got to talk about the new fronts.
We need to talk. Wow.
And 2014 New Fronts, I've been a big fan of what you guys did. So I'm going to take you back to 1987.
1987.
Michael J. Fox was in the most amazing movie ever called The Secret of My Success, in which he shared with us how he conquered the business world. Marta, I want you to be Michael J. Fox here and tell us, how did you conquer the New Fronts world? Share with me your success.
I'm going to go to what Justine said. She said, you've got to start with passion, and you've got to start with something that you love. And you've got to start with something that's real. So I think that what we have done with the New Front is very real. It's very authentic. It's very true to the DNA that we have at AOL, and it's very true to redefining video experiences for consumers and doing that at scale in a way in which is native to the web, is very responsive to the new consumer behaviors, where we give outlets to celebrities that have a natural social footprint so that they can tell the story in sound, sight, and motion. And I think that's what makes it make it work, right? You have amazing celebrities, like Justine or James Franco and Steve Buscemi, Sarah Jessica Parker, Nicole Richie. What we do is we give them different outlets to tell their story and to tell the very authentic story in a large way, right?
Right. Excellent. Well, I look forward to what you guys are going to do next year. People are gunning for you. They're coming after AOL, and the market is going to be big. And it's going to be a lot of movement.
And it's a big day for us because today is the final of the AOL Sports Search. So we've been, live from AOL.com. We've been having a contest in the quest for our sports uncle. So expect to see something interesting from us from the sports perspective.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marta.
Thank you.